Monday School is what Wally learned at church in 3 minutes or less. Think of it as like the Twitter version of church.
I don't know about you, but last week I had way more stress in my life than peace. And so we've been looking at the fruits of the Spirit at church. And this week we looked at peace. So I was like, yay. Our lives are hectic and chaotic. So how can we have peace? And he made the point that peace is not the absence of problems. Because sometimes we think, you become a Christian and everything gets easy all of a sudden. Au contraire, mon frère. Gets harder a lot of times. But Jesus was a straight shooter. In the Bible, he says, I've told you these things so that it may give you peace. In this world, you're going to have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome this world. See, Jesus never promises to change our circumstances, but he does promise to give us peace in the middle of it. Like there's this story in the Bible. Tell me if you're familiar, Rock. Jesus is in a boat and a storm comes up, and the disciples all run over to him.
Why are you looking at me with that?
I'm just checking to make sure.
You just assume that I didn't know that well-known story?
Making sure you're spending time in the Word, that's all. So they start begging him and freaking out, yelling him to wake up and save them. And Jesus does. He gets up and says, be still, storm subsides. But then he looks at the disciples and he's like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you not have faith? Because they've walked with him this whole time. Like, I have this theory, too. Like, if you're on a ship with Jesus, you're like, there's no way the ship is going down. Like, there's no way this could happen. So it's why, like, if I'm ever on a flight with someone better than me, like Toby or somebody like that, or I'm like, oh, good, this flight's safe.
God will protect them.
Yeah.
And I'll just benefit from that.
Exactly. I get to piggyback on this safety. It's great. And so, he says, don't you have any faith? But here's the thing. Jesus was there, and they walked with him, and they still couldn't see past their storm that was right in front of him. And we're no different. We take our eyes off Jesus all the time, and we get swallowed by the storm. But we don't have to. Just like the disciples, we need to run to Jesus and trust him and take him at his word that he's overcome this world. He's overcome the storms of this life. But how do we get there? And this, I think, was a really interesting point. Our pastor was talking about, to have the peace of God, we have to be at peace with God. Meaning you've got to spend that time in that relationship with him, knowing who he is, so that when the storms arise, you know his character and you know that he's there to protect you. And it's kind of like, if you don't have money, you can't give somebody money. If you don't have love, you can't give somebody love. If you don't have his peace, you're not going to experience peace. You can't give that to anybody.
True.
So we're called to live at peace with people, and it's hard because they are skilled at working our last nerve. But Jesus is called the Prince of Peace, and if we can tap into that, we learn to fix our eyes on Jesus, and we get in the habit of doing this in the times when life isn't imploding. It will definitely help us better weather the storms. And that's your Monday School for today.